So when I do the work, it's coming from a whole nother level of passion and commitment. I truly feel like the work that I've done within the communities of Houston, learning the skills to articulate yourself when you have certain issues, knowing how to address trauma that you never dealt with before, having certain particular conversations with people that are difficult to have conversations with, but finding a medium to be able to do that. These are what the restorative practices that have helped me do.
Welcome back. This is Translating Success, episode 9. I can't believe we almost made it to double digits. We've been here for a while. So today we got a very, very special guest, and we got a very special topic that I wanted to go over. It's balancing ambition and life. You know what I mean? So I think it's very important to discuss this topic because it's something that's relevant in my life consistently and relevant to the people that I'm close to and work with and work alongside with. And I thought it would be a great topic for you guys, my audience, to experience and actually spark a conversation in your lives with your people around you. So when it comes to balance and ambition, I got to see the effects of not having balance in their lives around me when I was younger. So I've seen it with my father, with my relatives, that they tried to have a lot on their plate, but didn't really have balance. And I saw the effects of that. So in my head, I always thought to myself, I need to create something different. Like I want to have a balanced life at home, and I want to be able to have, all the things that I want to achieve in my life as well. But as I got older, I noticed that it wasn't that easy. Just because I wanted it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. So on my path, I struggled a lot with trying to get everything that I wanted to get, to achieve all the goals that I want to achieve and become the man who I thought I was meant to be. But with that, it took a lot of energy to kind of do that fully, and then you have to sacrifice something. And for me, I didn't see that I was sacrificing my home life with my family, then with my wife, then with my daughter to try to get where I was going. Then I had to do a lot of kind of like a rediscovery of myself and have those conversations with my wife and restructure everything. And then everything didn't change, honestly, till I started aligning my purpose to my lifestyle. And when I aligned those two things, I saw the biggest difference. So like what that means is I'm going from doing the work that I'm doing, but it goes to what I could do in my lifestyle. So like my work goes into what I do with my wife, what I do with my child, and everything connects. So there's no like, I got to be this way here, and then I got to be this way here. I try to put everything together. Mm-hmm. So it was aligning, and that made all the difference. So today, I want to introduce a very special guest. I'll go over his credentials before we start. So he is a success coach, mentor, educator, former Division I football player for Texas. And he's a husband, a loving father, and a very good friend of mine, Justin Aldridge. Welcome to the show, man.
Appreciate it, brother. Excited to be here. I don't know how special I am, but...
No, you're pretty special, man. You're pretty special. And the reason why I say that, I want to tell my audience about how I actually met Justin. So the way we met was kind of crazy. Because I remember I got like an Instagram message from somebody I knew back in New York. She was a physical trainer, and we were pretty cool, and we worked for the YMCA. And she had told me that she met this guy, and he's super interested in learning how to get into motivational speaking and influencing people. And I told him about you. Can you meet with him? And I was like, sure. And then when I met you, the story, like, it was crazy because when I talked to Justin over the phone, he was like, "Yo, okay, where do I have to meet you? What time? I'll be there." It's like, no joke, like, I'm ready. And, people talk a good game until, like, you actually see it in action. I was like, oh, this guy's the real deal, like, legit. I think I called you it was the middle of the week, and you were there by the end of the week. Yeah. Right? I think I called you on Wednesday, and you were at my job on Friday.
I probably would have been there that day.
Yeah. He probably would have. He was trying to schedule everything out, and the mission was, this is when I was at Kip Houston High School as a Restorative Justice coordinator, and I had established my brand and my speaking business for 5 years already, so I had experience, but I was still working full time. And Justin had hit me up. He was willing to learn, and he was all about it. And he's like, "Yo, I need to just learn the ins and outs. Any advice you give me, I'll show up." And he showed up literally just because of scheduling. I do believe you would have been there that day. Just because of scheduling, he met me the next day, 2 days after, at my job, and he stayed for like an hour, and we just spoke, and we hit it off right away. And I just remember and appreciate, like, your willingness and your ambitious way to, like, just learn. And it didn't matter where you were in life, and our lives, like, the way we cross paths is crazy, and your life experience is crazy, and hearing what you've been through, and then just being willing to still want to keep going and start this new thing was pretty impressive. And then a couple weeks later, I had a speaking engagement. That was like a 3-hour drive or a 2-hour drive, something like that. And Justin was willing to come with me, which was crazy. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll be there." And we drove up, we talked, we got to know each other. He saw me speak. And then, he joined a program that I referred him to, and he's been doing great ever since. So I do think you are special.
I appreciate that.
And I think people need to know, what goes behind that mentality and know what it takes to be successful. I do see you as successful. Everything you've gone through so far, you get a chance to express what you've been up to. But just to see your mentality towards everything now, I think it is special, and it's big to bring to a show like this, to spark a conversation and say, hey, like, I got that in me too. Like, I could just put myself in position. Mm-hmm. It's all about positioning. And it doesn't matter, who it is, it's just being willing to learn. Right? So, Justin, just to throw it all out there, to give you a chance to talk about it, where does your ambition come from, and who inspired it, or what inspired it?
I think for me, the ambition was always there. I grew up, I'm the youngest of 5 kids. Both my parents were high school dropouts. My dad had 5 kids by the time he was 21. My mom 3 by the time she was 20. So there was no education. There was no success. I didn't even have a model of success. I ended up being the first-generation college student, first one in my family to graduate from college. So all these different things that were stacked against me as far as really me even being able to be successful. But for whatever reason, just kind of take a step back, I was always that kid that was different. Yeah. And so I don't know if my experience is unique, but I've always been very intrinsically motivated. Yeah. And I've always been able to wrap my head around the fact that I don't have to know you for you to mentor me. And so it was just one of those things where, whether it was reading a motivational poster, reading a book, all of those things just sunk in. And from the earliest of times, I knew I was going to be successful. It was just one of those things that I knew the only way I was going to get there is if I was ambitious, because I knew in my reality, in my environment, success wasn't coming to me. I lived on the side of the train tracks where people weren't coming over there plucking kids out saying, "Oh, wow, you look like the ambitious one. Come with me. I can show you what I know." I knew I had to seek it out. I always had to be the aggressor. It's kind of like with athletics. The only reason I got to the point that I did, I'm not the biggest guy in the world. So the only reason why I got the opportunity to go play at the University of Texas was because I was relentless in my pursuit of that goal. And that's been the biggest thing for me, is I knew from the earliest of ages that if I could just get access to the right people, to the right wisdom, to the right knowledge, that I could be successful.
That's dope. Yeah, man. So I mean, you brought it up, and I know we talked about this before. Your route to Texas University, how was that? Were you recruited? Were you walking on? Like, how did it happen?
Yeah, it was kind of a crazy story, actually. My junior year, going into my senior year.
Yeah.
We were supposed to be a really good team. We actually were preseason ranked as the #1 secondary in the state.
Yeah.
And I was the starting free safety. And UT was there to recruit our entire secondary. The day they were there recruiting us, I dislocated my shoulder. And I knew, because that was my dream school. It had always been my dream school. And I knew from right then, it was just, the dream was over. It was dead. And so I wasn't highly recruited, anything like that. And right before my senior year, my dad went to prison anyway. And I am a mama's boy through and through. And so when my dad went to prison, it didn't matter. I was a great student, could have went to a lot of places on academic scholarships and stuff like that. But I just knew that there was no going away. I was going to be there. I was going to support my mom. So I took 3 years off after high school. I worked full time, was doing all that different stuff, and went to a community college, was on the dean's list the entire time I was there. And when my dad got out of prison, he was telling me, Justin, you need to go to UT. And I was like, Dad, I'm past that. I've moved on. I want to graduate. I want to do this stuff, whatever. He's like, no, you need to go, son. That was your biggest dream in life up until this point. Don't let my experience in my life take your dream away from you.
That's dope.
And so I went back, and I went there without the intention of even going to play ball. And I got there, and of course you get there, man, you're around this historic stadium. You're walking around campus. You're in class with guys that are on the football team. You see it, and you're building a relationship with these guys. And, after my injury and everything, and then being out of football for 3 years and all that, it was just one of those things where I was just like, man, I don't think I can do that anymore. Like, I'm not training. I'm not doing any of this stuff. And same thing, my dad was like, Justin, you need to try. He's like, there's never been anything in your life that you set your mind to that you weren't able to accomplish. That's just who you are as a person. Yeah. And if you put your mind to it, you can do this. And of course, I'll be the first one to admit that doubt was there. But it was just one of those things, I knew I had the track record of proving things to myself. And so I went out, I trained for a year, I went and walked on. The guy who was the director of recruiting still remembered me from high school. Yeah. I don't know how, but he still remembered me from high school, told me to go out there, do the walk-on process. And so I did it. And about 5 minutes into my tryout, they pulled me off the field and told me I made the team.
Damn, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, it was wild.
That's crazy. I know you mentioned it just when you were talking earlier, and I was like, people need to hear this part because that doesn't normally happen. And I think for me, it's and I see this all the time. You can't judge a book by its cover. And I know there's a lot of privilege in being a man, and then looking the way that we look, being able to walk into certain spaces, understanding our privilege, but also understanding there's something to everybody. Everybody has a story or something they've been through, and how they went about it. I thought I was astonished when I heard your story and what you've been through and how you went through it. Two things that I noticed in your talk that I think people need to pay attention to. You said that you with because I relate to this, not having examples around you, or not having the examples you would like around you, and still having that belief in self.
Yeah.
Like you told yourself that being ambitious was going to get you out of this, right? And you were on your own and you had to figure it out, but you knew you had to be ambitious. Then that's key. Finding whatever it is that could get you motivated, that could get you going, or say it could be a movie. It could be a book. It could be an idol, an athlete that you can look up to, or something. It doesn't even have to be somebody that's famous. It could be like somebody in the neighborhood that inspires you. For me, it was my coach, Powell. And I modeled myself after him a little bit and went under his wing. And then second is having the support. I think we talked about this earlier. It takes about 5 people to influence you throughout your life, to get you out of circumstances and help you out. And I think we get so stuck on who's not there. Yeah. Right. That we don't get to see who's actually there. Yeah. Right. And we spoke about this on previous shows, but some people aren't fortunate enough to have those people in their lives, right? At particular moments. Putting yourself and positioning yourself in places to go find those people, going to spaces like events or something that these people might show up, and having that intention when you're going to, say like an after school program or like event that you can meet people that they're sporting event or whatever and look for mentorships and just start asking questions is very key to doing that. And I think that's what Justin is all about, because for you to hear about somebody, I think you guys went on a cruise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Justin had met my friend on a cruise, Miriam, on a cruise, and that's how he learned about me. And then through Instagram, we met, and then we met in person, and the relationship built. You got to be willing to put yourself out there. Those people are not in your life. Go look for them. And I think it was powerful what your dad said, because I know, you know, people. I've had people. And my dad went to prison too my first year of college, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad went your senior year
Mm-hmm.
of high school. My dad went my freshman year of college, and I think learning. Some people would see that and be upset,
Yeah.
and not want to build that relationship with your father because you left me, blah blah blah. You messed up. Why you do that? And then like shield off and not want to hear that advice.
Mm-hmm.
But being your willingness to hear that and take that and go, because my father was the same way. My father, he would tell me, you know, you gotta put yourself first. You know what I mean? You gotta go out there and try. And he would always say everything he said all the time, Carlito, ain't nothing in this world free.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta work for everything. Don't matter. Nothing's free. So go get it. And you know what I mean? I appreciated that. So that's pretty big that you said that. I want to acknowledge that thing about you is very big, and everybody can have that. You just gotta see it in yourself, man. So that's awesome, and that's why I think you're special. So with that, have you ever struggled with balance as you were having your ambitions and achieving goals? When did you notice like you needed to balance things out so that you can be okay mentally?
Yeah, I think for me, balance was definitely, has been, still is something that I have to be very conscious about. If you're somebody who's a very ambitious person, balance is something that you're going to struggle with at times. And I think to some degree, balance is overblown, because I think that when people think about balance, they think about time. And so they think that your priorities have to be in perfect alignment, all the time has to be split evenly, and that's not balance. Because the reality is, when you're ambitious people like us and you're building your life the way that you want it to look, the time distribution is not going to be balanced, nor can it be. You can't build a successful business by sitting there trying to split your time 50-50. It doesn't work that way. And so we have these quantitative measures, but we're trying to measure something qualitatively. So what I mean by that is, don't worry so much about the time that you're putting in with somebody. Worry more about the quality of the time that you're putting in with somebody. To me, there's something to be said about 15 minutes, as little as 15 minutes of 100% locked in, engaged, intentional time with somebody, rather than an hour or 2 hours of checking your phone, checking your email, responding to text messages, scrolling Facebook, watching TV, doing all that stuff. When I get home and I'm sitting there and I'm at my house and I'm with my kids or I'm with my wife, it is 100% locked in. And so, yeah, I've got to constantly monitor my balance, because, like I said, when you have that ambition and you've got a goal in sight, everything inside of you just wants to go 100% all in straight at that thing. But as you start getting more responsibility, you start getting more people in your life that are depending on you, not for you to be successful necessarily, although they are depending on that. They're also depending on you for your love and for your attention and for your support and for your empowerment, for your nurturing. And so really it just comes down to, exactly like you said earlier, aligning yourself with your purpose. What is your purpose? If your purpose is 100% entrepreneur, well then, go live that life. For you and I, that's not it. We are men who love our wives, who love our children, but we also just so happen to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And so I think that stop beating yourself up over the time.
Yeah.
Start really honing in and focusing on the quality of the time.
Word. I think that was essential right there, what you just said. That's powerful. I think for me, attention was everything. For me, I'm such a go-getter that I lock in and I I could tend to lose myself in trying to get something done so badly that hours would go by and I'm locked in trying to do it, but my attention isn't there, and being present to what's in front of me. And for me, I don't know about you, I need truth tellers around me.
Yeah.
And like I said in previous shows, that's why, I'm married to my wife. My wife is the one that'll tell me straight to my face, like, you look stupid. Like, what are you doing? Right? Like, look at what you're doing. Right? And I need people around like that constantly. Growing up, I necessarily didn't have that around me where everything was sugar coated. Everything was like, it'll be okay. Nobody was truthful with each other. Everybody hid in with how they truly felt. So I don't know if that's the reason that's probably the reason I did gravitate more to people that are just real, raw, right? So I think for me, like just having people around me to tell me, you know what I mean? I needed that where I'm intentional now when I'm choosing my time, like when like being present, like that's the biggest thing because I will be there, and I'll be at work all day, then I'll be home and I'm doing other like stuff for the business or whatever. And I'm around my child and my wife, but I'm not really there. Right? Because I'm like trying to communicate, trying to network, trying to send emails, trying to do this and that. But I needed my wife to literally like, what are you doing? Like you're not here. This is what you're missing. Right? And thing that you said, knowing what your purpose is very important. Some people aren't built or really want to be family people, family men or women. Like that's not in them right now, right? And you have to be truthful to yourself. If you're not wanting to be in a relationship, you shouldn't act like you are because it's going to overtake. For me, and like it sounds like for you, that's in me. Like I'm a family guy, right? So like my wife telling me that, right? It hit. I was like, damn, like I don't want to miss that. Like, what am I doing? Like I feel bad that I can't stop myself. Let me focus on stopping myself. Like let me, when I get home, turn off my phone. And I struggled with that for years. Like even to today, like my wife and I have this pact, like at a certain hour, phones go away. So we here, right? And we can just talk and we just connect. And just having, those moments to like, because a lot of stuff goes down. People don't talk about it, but being in a relationship is work.
And I think there's two things that you said that are absolutely key when it comes to balance. First of all, accountability is key because again, when they say being blinded by your ambition, there's a reason why. That's people speaking from experience. Those are ambitious people who are looking in hindsight and they understand that was their reality, that they were blinded by their ambition. And so accountability is key. You have to have those people around you that you give 100% authority to speak that pure truth into you. And it's the exact same way with my wife. I've got to be able to allow my wife to be able to check me in a loving way, but to say, babe, look, you're in our presence, but you're not present. And so the accountability is 100%, I mean, it's 100% absolutely necessary. And then whenever you're sitting there and you're really thinking about the intentionality behind it, the communication is huge. You've got to have that ongoing communication. I mean, because like as entrepreneurs, we know that there's going to be seasons in our business where it's going to be an all-out sprint. I mean, it's going to be going all hours of the day. And if I'm communicating with my wife, and I mean we're here, she's going to understand that, and she's going to support me through it because she's going to know that on the other side of that, things are going to go back to normal. So if you're not communicating, that's what's going to throw everything off the rails. Communication has to be key.
That's, for me on road trips when I do my speaking engagements, and I'm actually going next week to New York. And the whole process beyond that, like when I first started out, my wife had to check me, like when I'm on my speaking engagements, like I'm real like so locked in even more that I don't even let her know, like, you know what I mean? And it's nothing crazy, like it's like letting her know where I'm at or what's happening, just to know that I'm safe or whatever. Like that just wasn't in me, right? And she had to address that and check me, you know what I mean? Because it looks like, something could just be happening and she had no idea, and I'm the only one that can let her know. So like communication is very key. And I think, when you're going through it and knowing what your purpose is, having those key people, we have our wives that do it for us, and we do it for them. But like it could be like your business partner, it could be like your friend, it could be like a relative of yours that you're constantly around to constantly tell you like, yo, you're not on your stuff, what are you doing? You know what I mean? That's completely necessary when you have these goals that you want to achieve and you're very ambitious and driven to trying to get those done. Just having those people, whether it's through relationships, partnerships, friendships, it doesn't matter. And it's better that someone tells you the truth to your face so that you're not going out to the world looking stupid. That's how I look at it. My wife tells me so that I'm not walking out there stupid. So she actually caring about me. Yeah. You know what I mean? They actually care about you. And I think not taking it personal. People take it personal when it's like, oh, it hurt my feeling or whatever. Sometimes that like for example, my wife told me that I sounded, you know what I mean, I sound like, you know, a certain way when I speak. Like I was coming off like
too corporate?
Yeah, no, not too corporate, but like coming off like, what was the word she used? There's a while ago, so I'm trying to remember, like, I wasn't authentic.
Oh, yeah,
right? Or I sound like I know it all or whatever. Yeah. And I needed that. I was like, how? Like, how? Like, it hurt. But it's like, and I showed the speaking engagement in one of my videos or whatever. She don't want to get fully involved in it. She lets me do my thing, but like when she's needed, she, you know, gives the input. And when I asked her, she told me, and I'm like, it was like this video she saw, and she told me how I came off. I was like, damn, I don't want to come off like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it hurt, but in that moment, I took it as like a learning. Like she's telling me so that I can improve. You know what I mean? And we have those conversations. It's okay to ask those people, like, you know, what's the intention behind it? You know what I mean? Like, and think about that. Are they really there and look at their actions? Are they really there to like harm my success or like actually help me? Yeah. My wife has proven like she's there to help. You know what I mean? So it's a lot to it, but I think balancing is all about, you know what I mean, communication with the people you have and accountability. Yeah. And that's big. I think with that, the pros and cons of ambition, right? Yeah. What, like, to you, we're talking about how ambition can get in the way of balance. But what are, like, for your standpoint, like, what are the pros to being ambitious?
I mean, the biggest thing is that when you're an ambitious person, you're able to get that laser lock focus that it takes to be successful. People who aren't ambitious, those are the ones who they don't take the time. To me, the biggest separator between ambitious people and people who just set goals is people who are ambitious love the process of achieving the goal. And so sitting down, taking the time to get clarity, sitting down, taking the time to actually create a plan. Yeah, it's great to go out there and start taking action and doing all those things. But if you're taking action without a plan, you don't know where you're going. Your plan is your roadmap to success. And so going through and actually taking the time to set up checkpoints, to go back and evaluate all of those different little like nuanced details that you've got to be doing along the way. Ambitious people understand the necessity of it and they love it because that's how they know they're growing. Because it's that constant system of evaluation. And so like ambitious people are ones who will seek out that feedback. They know it's going to hurt in their heart because obviously the people who you're allowing to speak truth in your life is, you know, whenever they say things, it pierces straight to your heart. But you also know, and you're going into it with the understanding of I need it. Because I'm ambitious. I want to be better than I am now. I want to strive to be that best version of myself. And so ambitious people understand that there is a system to everything when it comes to achieving your goal. And they love the system. People who aren't ambitious, the reason why they set goals and they fall off is because they don't love the work. They don't love the system that it takes, the process you have to go through in order to get to where you want to go.
Or they haven't found what they would enjoy going through the process of.
And that's the thing too, is like people live this life, this one life that we get, so many people live it scared. And I'm speaking from experience because I had all the fears in the world because of my upbringing, because of the things that I went through in my childhood. You know, even though I felt inside of me that I could be successful, I don't think I ever really truly believed it until, you know, even after a lot of the successes I already had a track record of proving to myself that I would be successful, but I don't think I really truly believed it until I probably started getting into my mid to late 20s. And it's just one of those things where when you're going out there and you're doing it, then you kind of start to shift a little bit and you start to understand and go after a little bit more. But fear controls so many people and they're just afraid to try.
Yeah.
That's what you don't realize. Like, literally, there is a boundary. Like, if you visualize your goal, that's what I want everybody to think about. Visualize your goal, and there's a line right there.
Yeah.
All right? Literally, on the other side of that is 1% of people.
Yeah.
99% of people are standing on the side that you're standing on right now.
Yeah.
Because 1% of people, that's it, are willing to actually take action. It takes no amount of courage to sit there and set a goal in your head.
Yeah.
To go out and take action on the goal, that takes courage.
And you know, the crazy thing that I thought about, like trying to get to that 1%, right? Everybody's goal, ambitious people, or people that consider themselves ambitious, the goal is to be that 1% and get close to it, and see that mindset, right? And learning and rubbing shoulders with people in that world, right? Noticing that a lot of those people that come off confident or have this swag or this cockiness about them, the thing that makes them great and different is that they don't believe they're fully complete.
Yep.
Right? So it causes them to constantly want to grow and learn and ask questions.
Yeah.
Like the most successful people are continuously learning and asking more questions than everybody else. Like if they see something that they can add to their repertoire, they're gonna find that person and like have a interrogation process to like pick their mind about like how did you get to where you are, like, you know what I mean, if my field is here and his field is over there, and if I can combine those two fields I could get to another level, right? I could create something phenomenal. I'm gonna pick the hell out of this guy's mind or this woman's mind to like learn how I can take a piece of that and add it to mine, you know what I mean? Just the process behind that. And I think for me in my personal life, I think me always feeling that I'm not there yet. You know what I mean? Kind of built that confidence and that swagger in me. Like, ironically, I got more confident because I knew I wasn't all that. You know what I mean? Because, like, I was willing to put myself in those spaces to learn. And when I put myself in those spaces, I was like, hey, like, I can be in this space. I can rub shoulders with these people. I can hang, you know what I mean? And it started with basketball. Like, basketball, I wasn't any good. My hands got sweaty, I got shaky or whatever, and playing in the parks against older people that could really ball, and me just saying, you know, I want to learn, so I need to go out there and, you know what I mean, being willing to fail, but also failure. I think Masterpiece said it recently, and the L's are lessons, not losses. You know what I mean? And that's how you got to look at it. It's a lesson, so you don't do it again. You know what I mean? Processing life like that will get you to that line that you're talking about to reach. And I think people need to have these kind of conversations to hear it more. Like people need to talk about that process. And the crazy thing about it, when you reach, because I've reached certain parts of, like I have vision boards. Me and my wife, for New Year's, every New Year's we do this thing where we do our vision boards, right? And we do pictures, and we actually like post it on our walls. And it's in front of our bed. My wife has one, hers. I have one, and then in the middle under it, it's the family goals. Right? And every year we check off, and so like it reminds us, like, damn, we came a long way. Like there was a picture of Disney. We always said we'll take our daughter when she turns 5. We went to Disney. And we, at the time, when we first wrote it, was like, how the hell are we going to make this happen? Like, people go to Disney all the time, but, like, it takes time, it takes money, and to do it right. Because we're not just going to go to, like, some bullshit, like, hotel and, like, you know, we did it right, you know what I mean? So, like, we checked that off. We got, you know what I mean? I remember before I got the job at KIT, I said, I want to be a business owner. I wanted to get put Restorative Justice on the map, whatever, on the rise, I think it says. And it's just crazy, like, I just became a business owner. My business is surrounded around restorative practices, so it's like Restorative Justice. And just coming to the truth. And I think being willing to, like, do those type of things and remind yourself that you still got places to go. You still got things to check off, right? And then changing that every year, right? You know what I mean? And adding on. I think that's a part of it. And you don't remember the day you achieve it. you remember the work that it took. Like, me
Yes.
and my wife sat down many times, like, crying, like, yo, like, that shit was, remember we was going through that, and I didn't know how the hell I'm gonna get through that? Like, those are the conversations me and my wife had with me and my family, and me and my brother had the other day, me and my sister, like, we just talking about the process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter, like, when you get this, like, the shit you gotta go through to get there, or get close to it, you know what I mean? Is what you remember.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And there were two things that you talked about that actually, in a lot of my speaking engagements, I talk about as interlocking, like they go hand in hand. You talked about the fact that people who are highly successful, they have that feeling as if they haven't arrived and they're constantly out there and they're hungry. All that is, that's curiosity.
Yeah.
Curiosity is what breeds success. But what curiosity also breeds is the second thing you talked about, which is confidence. See, a lot of people have this misconception about what confidence is. It's like they think that, oh, you were born that way. Like, you came out because of your upbringing, because there had to be something in your past that made you a confident person. Confidence, all that is, that's a result of you keeping your word to yourself. That's the way I look at it. Because when you can sit there and you can set a goal, when you can set an intention and you show up and you do it, pass or fail, doesn't matter. You showed up, you put in the work.
Word.
That's how you build confidence. Because there's nothing in this world that you're going to show up the first time and you're going to be great at. You might be better than other people, but nobody's great at everything the first time that they do it. So it's by showing up every single day with that curiosity, following that curiosity, being willing to step into it, and being willing to step into it day after day after day after day. What happens? You get better and better and better, build that momentum, you build the confidence.
And this is what we talking about, aligning our stuff together, because I literally had this conversation with my 5-year-old daughter today and before coming here. Like, we doing these drawings and I'm doing these bubble letters around my drawing, and she tries to do the bubble lettering and she messes up.
Yeah.
And she gets so pissed, she crumbles the paper, she throws it, she's mad, I can't do it, blah, blah. I'm like, I told her just that. I was like, listen, how many times have you done that? She's like, I never did bubble letters. And I'm like, that's right. That was the first time you did it, right? So it takes time for you to get better at it. People are good because of all the work that they put behind it. Don't ever get upset at yourself for doing something the first time.
Yeah.
You're supposed to not do it right, and the more you do it, you'll get better.
Yep.
I literally told that to my daughter.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay. And then she got a paper and she did it again. And she did it again. And having those conversations, like, the work that I do aligns to me being a parent, aligns to me being a sibling, aligns to me being a husband. Like, that's what I'm talking about. I'm happy you brought that up, because it's all about doing work that actually puts you in a space where you're about that life 24/7. And that's what it's about. And I feel like I've gotten there. When I go and speak every month, and I told you this before we got on, I went and did a speaking engagement in Dallas 3 days ago. I drove all the way to Dallas in the morning, 3-4 hour drive, and then after I spoke at 11, I was done. I drove back and I picked up my daughter at 3 p.m. after school, which is crazy. But I spoke, and it reminded me of conversations that I need to have, right, with my siblings, with family members and stuff. And like, it brought that up. I got in the car driving back home and driving to my daughter's school, and I was like, yo, I need to call my brother. I haven't talked to him in a while. Called my brother, had an hour conversation. Then I was like, I need to talk to my sister. Had another hour conversation with my sister. And it just aligned, because everything that I was talking about and preaching to the people in my speaking engagement ended up being a conversation that I needed to have with my siblings, right? And then I got home, and certain things, like, and like I said, like, that conversation I had with my daughter, like, putting that together, like, that's the stuff that we're trying to help people with. It's 24/7, and getting to a place where you're doing work where everything's aligning, your purpose aligns to your lifestyle. That's where everything just be like, and I just, that's what everybody should be working to. Alignment with purpose and life and work and whatever, where everything connects. You know what I mean? Where it becomes, because we said this too, there's teachers in education that they're putting up this act, right? And we had a couple episodes ago where we talked about that. It's an act where they're not truly themselves, right? And not fault of their own, but the way everything's set up, how easy it is to become an educator, and you're coming from, straight out of college, jumping into the educational field and being in these spaces where you're like, you haven't identified who you are and process all your stuff, and then you go in the classroom and kids are like letting you know who you are, and you're like, kids will let you know real quick. Yeah. So like, it's just like the dynamic is unfortunate, but getting to a place where, everything, where you walk into a classroom is the same way you will walk into a party or home, right? There's no difference. And I think people are struggling with that in education now, where you have teachers that are young or old, I've seen it old too, where they're going in a certain way into school and they're not like that in their real life. Yeah. Right? And that causes rift. Those are the teachers that struggle in the classroom. I mean, because kids can smell fake from a mile away. Yeah. So I think that all about alignment. So it's crazy that you brought that up, because I just had that conversation with my daughter. Yeah, it's crazy how stuff works out. Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, do you have like an experience where balance was like a struggle for you, where like it was hard to like? I know you spoke about your wife checking you and everything, but what was like the hardest time you had with balance? I would say for me, probably the most recent one was last year when I was writing my book. It was just one of those things where, going through that, and that's like a bucket list type of thing for me. Like I said, there was nobody in my family that was even successful growing up, and so there definitely wasn't any authors in my family. Real quick, what's the name of your book? Leading with Love. Leading with Love. Yeah, it's the guide to becoming a more loving and empowering leader. And so going through that process and like really getting to the point, because again, it's one of those things that you're always like, man, I'm going to be an author one day. Word. But then like you start going through life and you're like, man, I'm not going to really be an author. Like, is it really going to happen? And so like, it was one of those things where I set my mind to it. I was like, I'm going to do it. And so I sat down, I started planning it out, and it was just like day after day. It was just getting more and more. I'm getting in the zone. I'm typing. I'm going. It's like I'm waking up in the morning. I'm going straight to the book. I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to. My wife is like, she's still working. And so it's like, hey, babe, can you take care of the kids while I'm doing this? And I'm like, yeah, I'll get there in a second. So I'm not showing up as a dad. I'm not showing up as a husband. And it was just one of those things where, she gave me a lot of grace to really kind of get some things done. But yeah, she came to me and she was just like, babe, I get it that you're fired up about this book and I'm so excited for you, but you still have a life outside of that book. You still got a wife that needs your attention. You got kids that need your love. Like, you got to be here and you got to be present, and we've got to make it work. And so, yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of those things where for a little while there, it got out of control, and she came in and she checked me and let me know. And again, in a way that was, it does hurt, and it kind of, pops that bubble in your pride a little bit. But at the same time, you're thankful for it, because you're thankful that you have the blessing of somebody who will speak truth into your life. Yeah, because in our work too, like we're helping people sort out their lives. Yeah. Right? But then we don't have our lives together. Like, that's how my wife is. She breaks it down. Is like, you can't be speaking and you're not about it. Yeah. I mean, you want to be about it. This is what you need to fix. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm here with you. And, we can do this together, but you need to be willing to be present when we're doing it together. Yeah, absolutely. Right? And I think that's key you put that, because I remember the book process for me. It was like crazy. I was like doing it in between classes, doing it at lunch breaks. I was just writing. So that was tough. But the toughest one for me was, we were in New York City. Right, I taught for several years in New York. We just had our daughter. She was like not even one yet, and I'm working. First, I was working we were living in Brooklyn, and I was working in close to Manhattan, So it was like I would take the train.
That's a commute right there.
What? The train was like an hour and a half to get to work and back. And then I was working on my master's at Brooklyn College, which is on the other side of Brooklyn. So like, I wouldn't get home till like 10, right? So I was like, and then we moved closer to the job. So I was like walking distance from the job, and it was still like, the cold. My wife is from Trinidad and Tobago, so like she had her fill of New York for several years, and she came out here when she was 19. So, she's not used to it. And I was kind of over it too with the, I remember I had my car parked and it was under snow for like a whole week. I was like, fuck it, I'm not shoveling that. People used to I was walking down the street and people talking about my car. They're like, yo, you see that car? That car's crazy. I was like, I wouldn't say nothing. I was like, I don't care.
Lazy ass dude walking out there showing that snow.
It's like, crap, I got things to do right now. But, so I had a mission. I was like, we need to get out of New York.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody, I've had one aunt that was, I had two aunts, a couple family members that were able to get out of New York. Most of my family was in New York or in Puerto Rico. And I had a couple people do it, but close to my age, no. Right? So everybody was staying. I had friends that were like, nah, I got everything here. I was willing to go.
Yeah.
Brand new kid, wife. At the time she was my fiance, but I was like, I'm ready to just go and start over. And I remember I set my mind to, I'm going to find a job, right? Out of New York. When I say tunnel vision, I was like, I ain't seen nothing. I was applying to jobs crazy. I was going on super interviews. I applied to Singapore.
I remember you told me about that.
Yeah.
You were applying across the world.
Yeah, I was like Singapore, China. I was ready to teach abroad. I was Houston, Texas, everywhere. Louisiana, everywhere. And Houston, Texas was the first to hit me up. But that process of going on interviews, I would come home from my job and I was coaching sports. I would come home, so I'm not coming home right after school.
Yeah.
Coming home late. I would get home, I would get on the phone, I would get on the computer, and just constantly, it was crazy. And my daughter was she was only a couple months, she was in infant stage, so it's I'm putting all this stress on my wife. I'm not present, and she had to strangle me up and be like, yo, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And the thing with her, I used to be a heavy sleeper. I talked about this in previous episodes. I used to be a heavy sleeper. I sleep through anything. And my wife couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
Right? Because especially with the child, you're thinking, is she alive? Is she breathing? Did she throw up and then she choke on it? It's crazy. And I'm sleeping through everything.
Yeah.
And, bringing that to my attention and having those conversations. She's like, yo, I let you sleep because you're working, right? But when you're here, you're still not here.
Yeah.
Right? And having that conversation. But I had that was the toughest period. We went through a rough patch where I'm just tunnel vision, and we noticed it and she saw it. She was like, I had the conversation with my wife and said, yo, we're leaving New York. And I swear, she talked to her mom, that's back in Trinidad and Tobago, and she talked to her and she said the very next day, she was like, well, I guess we're leaving. I guess we're leaving New York because Carlos set his mind that we're leaving. So, and that's how much my wife believed in me, and the tunnel vision. But it's tough, man. Having balance and what we talked about, it's when you get to a point, knowing what you really want, and having a purpose. I wanted to have a family.
Yeah.
I wanted to have balance. I didn't just want to be all about work. I wanted to I've always dreamed about, I would watch these movies and shows. I always dreamed about being a father, being a husband, having that dynamic that I didn't necessarily see growing up.
Yeah.
Right? I wanted to create that. So that was a part of me. So when I was having these conversations and I was zoned out, when I was able to snap out of it, it was easy to be damn, I need to work on that too. That has to be a part of my ambition. And then setting goals, right? On my vision board, it was things I wanted to accomplish career-wise.
Yeah.
Now it's things I want to accomplish career-wise and then also family-wise.
Yeah.
I said we got 3 vision boards up.
Yeah.
Right? And one in the middle is things we want to accomplish as a family, experiences. I mean, and that's what we talk about all the time. We so scared to like spend our money on like going on this big trip or whatever, and just talking about the money and trying to work to a place where we have money, and we're wasting years on our lives.
Yeah.
Instead of just having it. Life is all about experiences. All you remember is what you did with your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So go on that trip and have those moments with your family and be present.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was something that I had to work towards. And I'm still as a work in progress. Like I said, I'm not there completely yet.
Yeah.
And I'm working there. I'm getting better at it. I'm a lot better than I was when I was back in New York, for sure.
Yeah.
for sure, man. So yeah, man, that's good, man. I think this is a great conversation to have, and I wish everybody out there can find a place where they can align and then find clear purpose to what they want, right? Align it to their lifestyle, and then be able to create balance and balance it out. And that balancing act is ever going.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to stop, man.
Nah.
It's never going to stop, man. And I appreciate you coming on the show, expressing your story and letting people know. I think it's important that people see that side of people that, you know what I mean, the mentality behind getting what they want and being vulnerable about it and opening. I think that's what the podcast is about. So Justin, let everybody know where they can find you and what you up to and what's next and everything like that.
The easiest place to find me is on Instagram or Facebook. It's at Uncommon Justin Aldridge on both of those. You can go to my website, which is justinaldridge.me. And in terms of what I got going on, I'm just continuing every single day, building out my coaching business, working with clients, really focusing on helping to figure out what their goals and dreams are so they can start living more intentional lives to be able to go out there. And what I say all the time is I try to help people stop just being alive and start truly living. And so, yeah, I mean, anything that I could do to help any of the listeners, anything like that, definitely don't hesitate to reach out.
Word. Now, when it comes to your coaching services, is it like an age group? Do you do like, it doesn't matter?
No, I mean, it really doesn't matter. My thing is I don't have a demographic based on age, gender, anything like that. You know, I'm very missional. And so what I always talk about is my goal is to live an uncommon life. In every aspect of my life, I want to show up and I want to be different in a good way. And I want to help other people do that as well. I want to help people discover that inner purpose inside of them and live into that. And so I don't care what age you are, what race you are, what gender you are, anything. If you're somebody who wants to live a bigger, better life, you want to live the life of your dreams, then I'm about working with you.
Word, man. I like that. Well, I highly recommend Justin to those who are interested to work with. He is someone that is about it, constantly working. And like I said, he's always shown out. Actions speak louder than words, people. And like I said, people told me again, there's been many people that asked me like, yo, I want to get into what you're doing, but not everybody acts upon it, right? And puts the work. And like I said, like he's there working. I seen him grow his business out, wrote a book, which is crazy. I remember we was in a car on that drive to my speaking engagement, and it was just a conversation.
Yeah.
Just a thought. It was just a thought. And now just to see your book out there and you're doing good things out there and putting out your message is pretty impressive. So I appreciate you coming down to the podcast and sharing your story and joining us. And, you know what I mean, I recommend everybody to follow Justin. And if you reach out, he's very easy to get in contact with. He's always open. His purpose is definitely aligned to his lifestyle. So he is about that life. All right. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you, Justin. And episode 9, we're going on to double digits next. I'll see y'all next week. Thank you.